Microphone 1 is the one which is really picking it up. Let's try with 2. Yeah, that picks it up as well. 3. Much less. Quite exciting today because I have a new tool that's going to help me find out where that click-clacking sound is coming from at the back of Pépé. So what it is a series of microphones on wires, and you have this and you can switch between the microphones. So if you place them in the right different parts of the car, then it can help you find the annoying noise. So I'm just going to set it up, take it out for a quick drive, and then we'll see where it's really coming from, in theory. Right, let's try it out. So you can see under here I've placed clips with the microphones on in different parts, so you can't even see it, of the car, and hopefully they'll give us a clue where this noise is coming from. It will be the real beam though, I think. Well, I'm not having much luck with either of my cars at the moment. The Ferrari has developed a serious, well, it's not serious, but a really difficult issue to sort out with a union from the cooling pump. So I thought I'd take out the Peugeot and try out my new sort of gadget to find noises in the car, and I was about to head off, but I don't know if I mentioned it, this seems to have an intermittent start problem as well, and right now just isn't doing anything, and I don't know what that is. So good, I suppose, because we can try it out. Could it be as simple as a Duff battery? Well, I've hooked up another one now, so if it starts, that's definitely what it is. I think it is the battery. Well, that's good news, because that's something simple. Right guys, so I got it all hooked up, and every time I turn sharply, there we go. So I'm in a car park, by the way, safety. And it looks like Microphone 1 is the one which is really picking it up. Let's try with 2. Yeah, that picks it up as well. 3. Much less. 4. A little bit. 5. Not at all. Well, it looks like microphones 1 and 2, which are on this driver's side, that's where the loudest noise is, but it might be the whole thing, it will reverberate, but I'll have to have a good close look at the beam and see it. But that's definitely where the noise is coming from, so good to know. Right, I've done a load of stuff which I'm going to tell you about to try and get rid of the squeak and the noise, and we'll see. Probably none of it's made any difference. On the rear beam, I have taken this off and check for play from one side to the other, and that is solid. So the rear beam itself, the central part of the rear beam, is fine, and the bearings were changed on that. I checked for tightness on that side. I think that's the torsion beam, you call it. Very tight. Done both the same things on both sides, and all is good. Under the car, I did notice a couple of things, and so first of all, on this side of the car, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you can just see it, that brake pipe there, that copper brake pipe there, that one, actually was running quite close to the top of the beam there, almost touching. So I've pushed that out the way. The other thing I noticed is that on this side, there's a few mil clearance between that mount for the petrol tank, whereas on this side it is touching. So I'm just trying to find a way of distancing it in case that's sort of springing or doing something, and just generally going around tightening bolts and trying stuff, which will probably make no difference. Gonna put it all back together, take it for a drive and see if the clunking noise is still there, which it probably will be. Another thing I did do at the front, I managed to find the leak. So at the front there is both a little oil leak, which is coming from the sump, so it's not a biggie, I'll just have to take that off and reseal it. And then there was a coolant leak, which I couldn't find for ages, and I actually traced to the top of the engine where the thermostat housing was. It was weeping very slightly, so I did a bit of work there. And that definitely seems to have sorted that out, so at least that's one win. Well, you know that often you do a load of jobs and none of them work out, and they take a load of time and they don't make the slightest bit of difference, and that's sometimes a little bit demoralising. And then sometimes you do what I've done today and you spend a lot of time doing a lot of little fixes that you think are going to make absolutely no difference, and then you take the car out, as you have now, and the clacking noise is gone. So one of the things that I did, and I think it's the fuel tank that was so close to that torsion bar that it was catching it and clacking it. But the point is, I am absolutely delighted. I'm so happy. I didn't think any of that would have fixed it. I didn't think any of it was a smoking gun. And this little thing is so much fun to drive without it like just clonking everywhere. It feels so much nicer. I'm so happy. I'm really, really happy. Also forgot to mention that the wash wipe that was broken just needed the contacts cleaning, so that's sorted as well. So I don't know, having old cars is just brilliant. When on days like, on moments like this, they don't happen that often, that things work out and you fix a problem, it's worth all the heartache and pain that you get the rest of the time. Well, after yesterday's success, I'm raring to get to grips on a couple of the jobs that I really want to do on Pépé. But before that, there's a couple of things that I need to get your advice on. The first is, I know the rattle and squeaks are part and parcel of these, and I understand that, but I think I want to get a decent radio with Bluetooth to try and lessen them on normal boring journeys, so you can't hear them quite as much. There's a standard radio in here and there's speakers in the doors. There's no speakers in the back, but I've seen there's a housing. So really, all I need is just a decent Bluetooth radio, cheap as possible, single DIN, that doesn't look hideous, and then 4 decent quality speakers to go in the rest of the car. So if you can give me some advice on what you recommend, or if you know of any secondhand stuff about that's good value, let me know, because that would be much appreciated. Next along the line is, I've managed to stop the leak that was coming from the coolant at the front, but the leak that is from the sump, which isn't sealing properly, that has to be attended to. So that's a job I'm going to have to get to, is just taking the sump out and resealing it. Not a huge deal, not a super pleasant job either, but I will get round to that very, very soon. The next thing I want to talk about is the throttle snatchiness. Now, I know it is a feature of these, but this car I'm sure does it too much. It's the on-off throttle which is the issue, and it doesn't just do it at slow speeds. If you're in second gear at high revs and you're going round a roundabout and you try and sort of lift off a little bit and go back on the throttle, which I know you should never do, it's impossible to do it smoothly. The car even starts kangarooing, so there must be a way of improving that. So any advice on that would be much appreciated. I know I have to look at the throttle position sensor and adjust that, and I've looked it up, but I haven't understood exactly how you're supposed to adjust it. I know the airflow sensor also has something to do with that. Is there a way of opening it up and checking it and seeing if it's good, or if it needs to be rebuilt, or it needs to be adjusted somehow? Again, any advice be great. Now the plastics are they're not too bad actually, but they are a little bit faded. So I've got some amazing stuff back home. I'm going to try and use that. I also want to put some I'd give the seats a bit of TLC and see if I can make them look and feel any better with some leather products. So those are the 2 jobs that I'm going to go back now and do. So this is the stuff that I've been recommended, Polytrol. I've had it for a while, but I haven't used it very much. But loads and loads of people have told me that it's absolutely brilliant for this kind of stuff. It's called a colour restorer. You brush it on and you leave it 20 minutes and then you wipe off the excess. Now yesterday it was really hot and I think I left it on too long, so it's left the plastics a little bit sticky. So today I'm going to just wash the car, and that's to get rid of that excess, but also just to show that it's not something that just lasts for 5 minutes, that it will survive at least a wash, give us some indication of the longevity. On top of that, I also cleaned the seats and applied some leather feed to them. With the Polytrol, on some areas I left it half and half to show the difference between where it's been applied and where it hasn't. So we'll take a look at that. Well, the Polytrol has definitely helped. Plastics are in much better condition. One thing that has happened, and which is annoying, is I left it on too long, and I think maybe put a bit too much on in some places. And so when I rubbed it through with a white towel, it's left some white fibres stuck onto some of the plastics, but I think they'll come off over time, so it's not too much of a big deal. But in the bits where I've left it half and half, like at the base of the windscreen, on the roof, and on the back panel, you can really see the difference between where it's been applied and where it hasn't. The seats definitely looking a bit better, but one of the issues there is that I think they have already been recolonized so many times that in places the feed just won't go through the recolonizing. The recolonizing, all it is effectively is painting, so it's putting a coloured plastic layer over the top of the leather. So if seats are recolonized, the leather, you can't get the feed through to the leather underneath. So they've improved a little bit, but they're not brilliant. On the whole, really happy with the progress made this week. All old cars like this have a few little niggles and so on that you have to sort out over time, so I was expecting that. Especially buying a car which wasn't completely mint, but I'm pretty happy with what I got really for the money. I think it's a good car and I love it, and especially now I got rid of that clacking noise from the back. You wouldn't believe the difference it makes in driving fun. It's just excellent. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe. If you're on Instagram, please go to @number27vids and subscribe to that side of things as well, and see you for the next one.